Listen, the NFL draft may be over, but Ryan Poles is still cooking. And today, we got to talk about a few of the UDFA signings that he made, because he may have just brought in Roschon Johnson's replacement and added 2 wide receivers with elite speed and separation. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So, we all know that the running back position last year was held down by Coleman Bennett and DeAndre Swift. Roschon Johnson had another season of playing more on special teams than taking snaps when it came down to it. And Travis Homer is now gone and out the door, which means there's going to be some type of competition for running back. While DeAndre Swift and Coleman Bennett should be the running back 1A, 1B, or 1 and 2, however you want to look at it. They are there. They are planted in where they're going. The guys behind them are still open. And so because of that running back competition, Ryan Poles brought in a UDFA that I think can absolutely be Roschon Johnson's replacement with this team as early as this season, and much cheaper when it came down to it in Coleman Bennett. And then Ryan Poles also went and found some elite speed wide receivers as well, who could have just been return guys, or we never know. Maybe one of these guys can make the roster. So we're going to get into a full breakdown of each one of these prospects, and we'll see what happens to it, right? So we all knew that offense was not the place where you looked at the most upgrades for the Chicago Bears. The absence of Drew Dahlman and his retirement forced the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles felt like his hand was forced to find the center of the future. He did find that. The left tackle competition, there's some UDFAs there that we'll talk about in the future as well, but finding weapons for the offense, especially in the Ben Johnson offense, is always the thing there. And so with that, they added Coleman Bennett, a sleeper running back option here, Squirrel White, who is an absolute speed demon, and Amari Kelly, who is one of the best route runners overall in this draft. So this adds to the UDFA class with Ryan Poles trying to find some people that can definitely help. So I do think there's going to be a competition at that running back position, but let's look at the players that we're talking about. So Coleman Bennett is a 6', 210-pound dual threat running back that played with the Kennesaw State Owls. He played there for 1 season. He was at Rice the season before that, and then spent 3 years as well, 4 years as well in another college. So this is a guy that, he's been in college football since 2020 when it comes down to it. So he used that extra year of eligibility. He started off with Bucknell as a Bucknell Bison, so take that for what you will, a smaller school. But when you look at this guy and Coleman Bennett and what the potential that he has to offer for the Chicago Bears, over the course of his collegiate career, he had 455 carries for 1,848 yards. That's an average of 4.1 yards per carry. He had 11 touchdowns in that as well, but we're not done there. He also had 105 receptions for 985 yards. That's an average of 9.4 yards per reception there, and 3 touchdowns. In his last year in Kennesaw, his last year in college, 27 receptions, 314 yards. That's an average of 11.6 yards per reception. So this is a guy that legitimately does bring a dual threat running back experience to the Chicago Bears, and one that, listen, I know Deion Hankins is still there. Running back is one of those positions where you can absolutely find gems as UDFAs. Had a standout 2025 performance. Some of the things that stand out about him that make him a good prospect is, of course, the elite lateral agility and versatility that he has. This guy excels at making defenders miss him in space, and that is why he is such a good dual threat option there as a running back that can catch passes and also run out the backfield. He understands how to use those cutbacks. He's really sharp and quick with that second burst of speed as well. The production and athleticism that he brought as well. He totaled nearly 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns in total from there. And he showed an ability to be a feature back when it all comes down to that one. And he had some of the highest ranks amongst NFL Combine when it came down to it. So, you look at that, that's really good. He also has experience being in NFL-style offenses, which is really good. He played in a number of different systems in the NFL, but experience in that I formation and more modern offenses, which could make him an actual threat again to make the roster when it comes down to it. He also is a very high IQ football player that has, he comes from NFL stock. His father was Donnell Bennett Jr. as well. So he has that high football character. He comes from a good lineage as well when you come down to the son of a football player. Not to say that always ends up is the end all be all, but I think it does show that maybe there's a little bit more there. The Bears could have potentially got them a steal here as a UDFA. And this is another guy that I think is going to have a lot of opportunity. That over almost 1,100 yards from scrimmage last season as a dual threat back, I think does show that there's a lot of potential there. Again, not to say he's going to be a starting caliber running back, but especially in Ben Johnson's offense where we do use gadget players, we do use players to try to get them out in space, those type of things, plus that 6 foot, 210-pound frame that he has there, he offers a little bit of a different game and still that elusiveness to get out in space. So I like him as a prospect here for the Chicago Bears, absolutely. But Ryan Poles wasn't done adding. He added some high potential wide receivers in this one as well. Squirrel White is a guy, funny name, I get it, guys are going to crack jokes. But when you look at it, this guy has amazing speed, elite speed. He clocked in at running over 23 miles per hour. He has exceptional short speed quickness when it came down to it and has versatility as a playmaker as well. He's a little bit undersized, right? But when you put him in the slot and has the ability to get him out in space in high tempo offenses with the Chicago Bears do need to utilize a little bit more, Squirrel White has a lot of potential. Now, he did not play a lot last year, which is what raises the concerns about him. But you look at the course of his collegiate career, 3 years at Tennessee, 1 year at Florida State where he only had 5 receptions, 136 receptions over his collegiate career, 1,717 yards, 12 yards per reception there, and 6 touchdowns over that time, 2 each of the years that he actually played for the entirety of the year, none last year with only getting 5 receptions. Squirrel White has a lot of potential, and I do think injury is a little bit of what may have knocked him down and out of not being. And this is a guy that was projected to be, a late pick or up into being a UDFA, which it ends up being what happened with him. But listen, you look at this guy's potential and makes him a solid prospect. I think there are a lot of things there. Now, what are the concerns for him? There are concerns about his size. At 5'10", 170 pounds, he's really, really undersized. And so you worry about that, especially going over the middles in the slot in the NFL. You just worry about that a little bit. And then you look at the production dip that happened between 2023 to 2024 at Tennessee, where he dealt with a lot of injuries before transferring to Florida State while still having injuries there, right? So the injuries are a legit concern for Omari Kelly. That is why he's an undrafted free agent. But I think that he is one that is worth taking a long-term look at just to see what he can turn into. If he ends up working out for you, great. If not, it's a UDFA. But you look at the way his ability to track the ball, right? The production that he's able to have. He does have, really positional versatility. He can line up in the slot. He's worked inside and outside. Would that be there for him in the NFL level will remain to be seen. But that size is the biggest thing that you're worried about a little bit with him. But then he didn't stop there. Ryan Poles also added Amari Kelly to this as well, who was somebody who widely was considered to have NFL upside when it came down to it. People saw him as an NFL prospect. He had a breakout in 2024, with 869 yards. When you look at Amari Kelly and what he brings, the route running is legit. And when you're talking about a Ben Johnson offense, the ability to understand route concepts early and grasp those could be really good for him. He finished his career at Michigan State, where he had 626 yards last year, an average of 13 yards per reception, and 12 touchdowns. In 2024, before he transferred, he had 829 yards, an average of 16.4 yards per reception, and 4 touchdowns. He barely played his 2 years at Auburn, so there's not a lot of data there overall. So most of his production came over the last 2 years, which is really beneficial to him. More legitimate size at 6 foot, 188 pounds. And still could be considered a little bit slighter frame there, but that's why these guys are here. But I think this is another prospect that, because of what he brings in route running and his ability to create separation, the fact that he's played in multiple schemes, again, pro-style NFL schemes as well, the playmaking and versatility that he offers, when he gets opportunity, he's been pretty consistent over his collegiate career. So he also carries that underdog mentality with him, right? He's worked on increasing his consistency. He's talked about that. He has NFL measurables when it came down to it. So this is another guy that I think when you look at specifically scheme in Ben Johnson, you can see where he can maybe be used at. Right now, more than likely, the Bear wide receiver room is going to be a hard room for UDFA to crack, but we've seen guys stick around on the practice squad before. J.P. Richardson is the guy that did it last year for the Chicago Bears. He's still around now, so there's still that opportunity. And really what UDFAs are about is signing guys that have potential that you want to invest in. It's not necessarily meaning they're going to have to show it all right away, right? But I think when you look at it, he's a guy that's worth sticking around. He's going to get opportunity in preseason, and we'll see what he can end up making happen with it. So, overall, again, Ryan Poles adds guys that make sense, had production, or has a skill set that you can look at possibly helping and benefiting the Chicago Bears next year. Do they end up doing it? That's what we're going to see. But that's going to do it. I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel about these signings? Which UDFA that we covered so far do you think has the best chance to make the roster? And should Roschon Johnson be worried? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like to end every episode on Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.